Travis, my good soul. So SNL's cold open was a tearjerker with the Ukrainian singers. Putin, it seems, is trying to force religious freedom onto Ukraine, specifically the Ukrainian Catholics, as he's wanting them to give up Ukraine for Lent. And as much as you may think that that's a joke in bad taste, have you not watched the news? We got Ash Wednesday coming up, and he's invaded. Over 100,000 Ukrainians have made it over the borders yesterday. Biden sent more military to watch the situation. Ukraine has held back Russia for day 2. So that's awesome, guys. And as I told you, the stock market has nothing to do with the economy. It has nothing to do with the war, because all they're doing is selling the unfriendly war stocks. And Friday, and I think even Thursday, they started buying the war-friendly stocks. I told you that's what happens. It's just what they do. That's the rich people's gambling casino, where everyone wins, except for the little people who put in $1,000. Yeah, you guys are the suckers. Belarus has joined Putin and is shown sending military equipment and supplies and weaponry to the Russian front. So he's actually doing something, whereas America is not. We're sending troops to watch. The sanctions, yeah, they're not stopping Putin. I mean, he didn't launch his missile or space shuttle, whatever it is. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. He's focused on the war. So he would have canceled that anyway to make sure that all money goes to the war. So the sanctions aren't working. Go figure. Ukrainians are pleading online and on the news for help, asking anybody who can come and help them to help. They're wondering where the world is, as they've been chased out of their country, leaving only the soldiers and which is pretty much the civilian males. As I told you yesterday, there was a female who stayed behind with her boyfriend or husband, which is a real tearjerker. And then there are some outsiders who are trying to get in to save and rescue as many people as possible. So that's the latest that I heard from yesterday. So it's day 7 on the countdown to Ash Wednesday. But even though Putin is thinking in terms of Christian interpretation, I'm recognizing a Jewish pattern connection with the original symbolism of ash, as the moon is falling, and as it's falling, it's becoming a black moon. And it's actually called that by astronomers when there's a second black moon in a month. And March is going to have that. Yeah, the 2nd of March and the 31st into the 1st of March. And so the 31st to the 1st is called a black moon, whereas a full moon, a second full moon in a month, is called a blue moon. And so, wouldn't you know it, God is a racist. The white full moon turns black when it falls. And then as it gets enlightenment, it becomes white. God is a racist. Go figure. Should I? The Book of Mormon talks about the Lamanites wanting to murder the Nephites. Laman is pissed with his brother for not subjecting to his authority as the birthright blessing son, refusing to accept that the birthright blessing was passed to the usurping younger brother Nephi, if you don't make the connection to the Old Testament. And as you can see, Revelation is a part of this, and the Revelation involves signs in the heavens. So the New Israelites with Jewish mysticism that Smith Sr. was a part of has all sorts of astronomy, star date for prophecies, and thus the Holiness to the Lord parchment. And so to illustrate the moon turning black and then turning white as it gets enlightened versus falling, it tells the story in the Book of Mormon, even though Mormons think it's a literal history of the Lamanites and the Nephites, to illustrate that principle of a people's souls. And if you don't catch on, the Laman and Lemuel are white supremacists, and by being wicked, they darken their souls. It had nothing to do with racism until Brigham Young interpreted it as such. But the Book of Mormon was designed to help white supremacists be good. That's why it was written to the Native American Indians and to Jews and to Christians, is to stop the hatred. That was the intention, because you can't, as I did the video yesterday, when people are wicked, they don't want to hear that they're wicked. And so you have to figure out ways to reach them, to have it click into their head, oh, I should stop this. I should treat everybody as human. And that was the Book of Mormon's attempt, was to portray white and black Indians in that manner. But of course it was misunderstood and misinterpreted by Brigham Young and people who don't understand parables. As Jesus himself says, I speak in parables because the people are dumb. The words of Jesus, which in and of itself, I'll do that with the lessons, but how screwed up is the name Jesus? Dear God. Isaiah prophesies his name will be Emmanuel, and so Matthew quotes from Isaiah about Emmanuel and says Emmanuel, but doesn't use the name Isaiah, and instead says that Emmanuel is now going to be called Jesus, which is the reverse of Isaiah. It's like any other character in the Bible having an angel come to the parents and says, glad tidings be unto you. You're conceived in Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Angel comes and a messenger comes and says, hey, you're pregnant, and you shall call his name Jesus. Even though the prophecy is for him to be Isaac or Jacob or Joseph or Samson. Pick any biblical character and put the Matthew thing in place of it. The prophecy is for him to be called Samson, and so you shall name him Jesus. Of course, you'd have to get the full effect, you'd have to find the prophecy in the book of Isaiah for that, but you get the point, I hope. And so what is Nelson doing pushing Jesus as the name, the only name by which he shall be known? And Jesus is angry when we use nicknames for the church. So, yeah. As I hope all Mormons know, Ezekiel chapter 38 tells us that Armageddon is not in Jerusalem. Because, again, John helps us understand Jesus is not his name. Because you've got beasts, and dragons, and serpents, and flying horses all throughout John's revelation. And Jesus. Huh? What's Jesus doing in there? Shouldn't he have a cool animal name? Like the lion? Oh, well, in some places he's the lamb. Lamb and the lion shall lie down without any ire for the millennium. But no, he uses Jesus. He doesn't use the names of any of the other guys who are represented by beasts and creatures and dragons. And so Ezekiel 38 does the similar type of thing. It uses Gog and Magog, which obviously no longer exist. They are portrayed in Genesis as the children of Japheth. We have the corrupted Latin European J for the Yah, the Hebrew God name, and so we pronounce it Japheth. And that's Ukraine and Russia. That's the land, because that's the way the biblical author wrote it. He assigned names in Hebrew as he's writing during the Roman period time to the lands, and he's just creating stories of how everything got started and using Hebrew names for them. So obviously it was not Gog and Magog. The ancients had their own language that they used to describe their lands with their names from their language. Sort of like Jesus instead of Jesus, or Joshua instead of Jesus. And so Bruce R. McConkie, oh my God, I did that clip of him. Only a few of you saw it. Oh my God. As as I've been researching all things church for the latter days, doing the videos for you, and now going back to conferences. That conference by Bruce R. McConkie talking about a nuclear holocaust for Armageddon. He's the one who wrote this chapter heading, guys. He knows where it's going to take place. And he knows it's not Jerusalem. Because again, what's Jerusalem doing in there among dragons, serpents, flying horses? Again, it's also coded with symbols. Because the signs in the heavens are not over Jerusalem, are they? And so yes, Joseph Smith, it's the false Christ of the great and abominable church. That's how Joseph Smith understood and explained Gog and Magog. But Bruce R. McConkie, I will know no better now than I know then. Jesus, huh? I'll read it. The battle of Gog and Magog against Israel shall usher in the second coming. The Lord will come amid war. The war started. I've been telling you it's the latter days. Signs in the heavens have determined this is it. It's now. And there's the war in the latter days, according to the time frame given to us in Scripture. And the whole world knows and understands this, and I've warned you that they are trying to destroy Christianity. The whole concept of Jesus annihilated. And I've gone over with you why. Everybody knows he's not real. He was created by Constantine. And yet Christians, and Nelson is perpetuating it. For Mormons, as Brigham Young was the one who changed the name, blaming Joseph for changing it. And Putin is literally, like I said, thinking in Christian terms, trying to force Ukrainians to give up Ukraine for Lent after Ash Wednesday, for the falling with ash and almsgiving and fasting and prayer, because that's what fasting is giving up, losing, falling. And ash, obeisance. I'll be talking about that with Joseph, with the lessons. I'm going to do a blitzkrieg of all March's Sunday school lessons for you today. And so the dream of where the sun, the moon, and the stars all give obeisance to Joseph Smith, or Joseph of Egypt, that's the latter day stuff. Sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven. Falling, obeisance, you bow, you fall. All of that is involved in the Bible, talking of the latter days. They are not literal history. None of it is. It was written during apocalyptic literature writing period time of the Romans, while the Romans were on a destruction path, warring with everyone. And so today is day 7. It's Sun Day, the day of the sun. The sun at noonday. Amen. Not Jesus. Jesus is Yah of salvation. That's a title, not the name. And the Babylonians were the ones who created a 7-day week calendar system. And they were extremely superstitious, idol worshippers that they were. And the number 7 was bad luck for them. We have adopted Friday the 13th as a bad luck day and a bad luck number 13 because of the Knights Templar, who are the good guys, as I've told you in church history, and are associated with the Smiths. That's why Egyptian gold plates, not golden. The church purposely wants you to think in terms of golden plates, thinking, oh, well, that's more reasonable because you can carry golden plates, because gold, those would be like 200 pounds, and that would not be reasonable. Notice how Joseph doesn't talk about his rocking a hat? Do you want to know why? And so, yes, you have messengers saying, hey, apocalypse, here's a book, and it's the Book of Mormon. And sure enough, in the very first chapter of the Book of Mormon, messengers, here's a book, destruction. Oh, pattern. Interesting. And so Joseph Smith is given a Book of Mormon about the latter days that talks about the latter days in story form. And so 7, you'll see that influence, Babylonian influence, in the Bible that needs to be rooted out, because it doesn't belong there if you're going to go to the original documents. And I was supposed to bring that up first. And so, knowing that we're in the battle, we're in the latter days, the war has begun, and Jesus is coming, right? But they want to make sure that Christianity is destroyed, so Jesus will fail to come. Well, guess what? How do you think Putin will do that? Nukes. If Putin just nukes Ukraine, no Jesus. Prophecy not fulfilled? Or do the Jews understand the Christ differently? So if you watched the video yesterday, for the 2 or 3 of you that did, and the majority of you put thumbs down, do you see where we're going with this? Do you see what I'm trying to warn you about? I'm not just mocking you for believing in Jesus. I'm trying to get you to believe the original Christ that Joseph Smith was trying to teach. Trying to restore Joseph Smith's religion. And revealing unto you, prophesying unto you, showing you, giving you the vision of the real church history and what the church is doing now and what the church is planning for the future. I'm revealing the signs in the heavens for you. And I'm demonstrating translation from Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian. Do I need to go over that again with you? Your concept of Christ has been destroyed with Jesus of Constantine, as the current prophets, seers, revelators, not translators, are telling you Jesus. And you're mad at me because the Book of Mormon says you would. So can you imagine Putin nuking Ukraine just for the sake of no Jesus. You've been waiting for him, and he didn't come. And the war is now over because I nuked it. And so what are Christians supposed to do then? Oh, well, it was really supposed to be Jerusalem, like the American evangelicals believe, along with the beasts and the dragons and the serpents and the flying horses. Have you not seen Rapture Palooza? Jesus is already dead. They shot him out of the sky when he came down on his flying horse. Hilarious. And so, yes, I'm well aware that when your belief system is shattered, you go through a faith crisis because you didn't bother to do real study and research. When you do real study and research, you don't have a faith crisis, you have enlightenment. And so you put aside the false doctrines, the false belief systems that are in you, because you recognize they're wrong. Whereas if you don't, and you just cling to your belief system that the church gave you, you go through a faith crisis when Brad Wilcox gets up and says, racist, sexist, hateful things towards other human beings. Or when Oakes gives a talk. Place your bets for April conference. Who will he offend this time? Will it be LGBTQIAPO+, women, blacks, the poor, ex-Mormons? Who will it be? Will it be a mixture of any of those? Place your bets now. Guaranteed win. And so, the Book of Mormon is true because it testifies of the identity of the Great and Abominable Church. And it's been staring us right smack in the face as Benson pushed the read your Book of Mormon, study your Book of Mormon. Even Nelson, before he did the Nazi Youth Battalion devotional for the youth, he was prepping them to study their Book of Mormon in advance of his recruitment to ditch your peers, Mormon peers, to go recruit other Mormon other kids to the church, and thus force the parents to come in and pay the money for tithing. And the prophets tell you to read your Book of Mormon because they've already got it incorrectly footnoted. They've incorrectly got the Topical Guide and Bible Dictionary, and if you've got the foreign language editions, you've got the Guide to the Scriptures, which you'll be more enlightened because I was involved in correcting a good portion of that. Not all of it. They wouldn't let me. Just like Avraham Gileadi, who I can see here in Ezekiel 38:5, he put in Heb, Cush, and Put. But in verse 8, for A, after many days thou shalt be visited. Well, it's O-R, mustard. And so what Avraham Gileadi put for 8A was not approved. And so they had somebody else come in, and so you can see which ones Avraham did, the HEBs, and the ones he didn't do, the ORs or the IEs, where it should be a Hebrew. And why isn't it not the Hebrew? And so, Israel, what's in the footnote? Thou shalt be called Israel? It's an IE. Nelson humiliated himself at the pulpit of conference because of that. He did not give the Hebrew. He gave the white supremacist translation of it. And so, as I've been telling you, it's day 7. We're seeing in the signs in the heavens a countdown of the moon falling to the purification of Aquarius, the high priest symbol, where Jupiter and the sun will join the moon for Ash Wednesday. But Ash Wednesday is Christian, Catholic Christian. But the Jewish concept has to do with the moon. And the signs in the heavens and the fall of man and the Egyptian origin stories. And so the two are timed together this year, as Christians are the ones who are purposely causing the destruction to show that Jesus Christ will not come. Because I'm sure you've heard about how Christians are purposely trying to be bad to get Jesus to come, who will destroy the wicked. It's like one of those things where you just go, what are they doing? They want to be bad so that Jesus will come and destroy them, but they're believers in Jesus, that he won't destroy them? What's got what? And so let's go over with you what Joseph Smith is trying to go over with us, because in his mind, Gog and Magog are the false Christ of the great and abominable church, and that's what we're seeing with the sign of the falling of the moon for religion, the Egyptian left eye of Horus. And so there's numerous places. We'll just cover a few of them for you. Great and abominable fall. 1 Nephi 22. Verse 13. And the blood of the great and abominable church, which is the whore of all the earth, referring to John's revelation about Babylon, the whore. And the Book of Mormon is saying Babylon is the great and abominable church, because Babylon was destroyed by Persia. It's obviously, again, not Babylon in Revelation. So Jerusalem? If it's not Babylon, why is it therefore Jerusalem? Why is it Jesus? And not dragons, serpents, flying horses? Huh? Shall turn upon their own heads. That's Purim. That's the principle of Purim, which it's on my birthday this year, the 17th of March, where a new star shall appear at the end of Cygnus, at the mouth of the dragon constellation. Oh, dragons are in space? For signs in the heavens? Star dates? Interesting. Wait a minute. There's a new star that appears to the Nephites in 3rd Nephi chapter 1. I wonder if that's any connection to the sign also that's referred to in that chapter of a day and a night and a day without a night, which is going to be in the middle of May this year. Beltagese, huh? It's going to blow, and so that it'll light up our night sky, and we'll even see it during the daytime? That's interesting. Is that a coincidence? And so turn upon their own hands shall fall upon their own heads, and they shall be drunken with their own blood. So that says that the Mormon Church are going to fight among each other to the death. So casting call for shiz and coriantumr. Which one of you Mormons want to be shiz? Which one of you want to be coriantumr? Casting call. And then we have 2 Nephi 28:18. Behold, that great and abominable church, the horror of all the earth, shall tumble to the earth. See, again, you see fall associated with Revelation. And great shall be the fall thereof. For the kingdom of the devil must shake, and they which belong to it must needs be stirred up unto repentance. Because the Book of Mormon tells us they're not gonna listen. They're so hard-hearted, they're so past-feeling, they're so entrenched in their belief system that they have to have a faith crisis to shake them out of it. Because they will not do their research to learn the truth. So that they don't have a faith crisis, but come to enlightenment by themselves. Otherwise, devil will grasp them with his everlasting chains. I'm sure that's literal. And they be stirred up to anger and perish. For behold, at that day shall he rage in the hearts of the children of men. Well, who was he talking about? The kingdom of the devil, the great and abominable church. So don't pass the buck on to other people in the world. It's still the members of the great and abominable church. And if I have to explain to you, you've not believed that the Book of Mormon is true, because it identifies the great and abominable church. Just the one secret sign of Lucifer, the falling star, you will find it, as it says, as their keystone on their temple. Their headquarters temple, because they're all over the world, but their headquarters temple, you will see Lucifer's sign, and it says it in the Book of Mormon, on the keystone of their temple. Do I need to show you the picture? I know the church built a wall so that people won't see it. And the one that they have in Logan, this great and abominable church that has a temple in Logan, the pictures online, when you zoom in, it's blurred. Why are they blurring it? Why don't they want us to see the sign of Lucifer? Why are they ashamed of the gospel of Lucifer? And the Book of Mormon tells us they will call their Christ name Jesus. Even in the selections of the Book of Moses, we are told that Lucifer will use the name Jesus to deceive. I am the only begotten Son. We're given exact, specific, graphic information on how to identify the great and abominable church and the false prophets and Christ. And this is what Joseph Smith is referring to. And so, there's more. It shall fall. I did read 28 to you, didn't I? Seriously? It wouldn't go back to that one. Yeah, I read it to you. Must shake and fall in rage. Got it. Okay. Now we can go I don't need to do this. Okay. So in section 1, which is the preface to the Book of Mormon, when it was put in yeah, there it is. So again, in verse 14, the arm of the Lord, that was yesterday, shall be revealed, and the day cometh that they who will not hear the voice of the Lord, neither the voice of his servants, nor give heed to the words of the prophets and apostles. That's not Brigham Young. This is Joseph Smith talking. He's referring to the scriptures, the Bible, the Book of Mormon even. Those prophets. And also Deuteronomy chapter 18, talking about a future man like Moses who will be a prophet. 2 Nephi chapter 3 refers to a man like Moses who is also a seer instead of prophet. Well, seer, prophet, Origin was seer, Two Eyes of Horus, Peter, PTR, an Egyptian, seer. And talks about you gotta listen to him, otherwise cut off, as Joseph Smith is told by the messenger, who is Nephi, not Moroni, who gives him Egyptian gold plates, not golden, talks about apocalypse, and says they don't hear him, they will be cut off. Acts that is referred to, not Deuteronomy, says that people will perish or destroyed, something like that, die. And so this is why it's important. And so who? For they, that's a pronoun, who are they? Have strayed from mine ordinances. So whoever takes ordinances, they have broken mine everlasting covenant. So those who seal in the everlasting covenant, that's who Joseph is referring to here. So I wonder who they could be. And so they, the members of this organization, seek not the Lord to establish his righteousness, but they walk in their own way after the image of their own God, which shall perish in Babylon. It's the great and abominable church. Why didn't they decode this? They said they decoded everything. Even the great and abominable church, the great, which shall fall. And so we see the great and abominable church comes out of Joseph Smith's church. This is very simple when you remove the blinders that have been placed upon you by the false prophets and the false Christs of the great and abominable church, who keep pushing Jesus. And so there's the one about no, it's not 115, is it? Verse 25. As previously it says, vengeance cometh speedily upon the inhabitants of the earth, a day of wrath, a day of burning, a day of desolation. Burning, desolation, day of weeping, of mourning, lamentation, and as a whirlwind it shall come upon all the face of the earth, saith the Lord. And upon my house, that's the temple, shall it begin. And from the temple, my house, shall it go forth. First among you, so those who attend the temple, the great and abominable church, usurped, but from Joseph Smith, just like Jacob, saith the Lord, who have professed to know my name. What name? And have not known me. Yeah, they're using a wrong name. Joseph knew all this, and have blasphemed against me in the midst of the temple, my house, saith the Lord. And so, here it is, purify your hearts before me. February is defined as purification. The month of purification. As March is the god of war. And Ash Wednesday starts it off. And so you purify with water and with fire from the Holy Ghost. Water, baptism, fire, latter days. Purify. The moon is heading for the water from the high priest constellation of Aquarius, purifying itself as it's a black moon, new moon. Not black yet, it's got another month. And it's the first of the month. You see how all this plays in symbolically? We're not supposed to be haters of mankind, separating each other by the color of our skin, by the different ethnic groups, different nationalities. We're all human. We're not supposed to have rich or poor. We have the intelligence so that all of us can prosper and live on this earth in peace and harmony. World peace. That's the answer you're supposed to ask when you're running for Miss America. I wish for world peace. You're the winner! Woo! Yay! Now you can do porn and be stripped of your crown. Or the Miss Teen girl. Oh my God! What are you doing? She becomes Miss Teen America and then shows that she's a racist on a tweet. And so, yeah. She gets stripped of her crown. People just will not learn. You can't be mean. So, yeah, SNL, the family reunion, hilarious. She marries the guy, but he knows all the family members, and she's unaware that he knows all the family members, and they're married. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure they weren't dating. He was invited to the family reunion. He gets the T-shirt, she doesn't. He knows all her family. Doesn't even. That was weird. And hilarious. So, I wonder if that DJ's music is on YouTube. What's up with that? So, yeah, we can go to another Doctrine and Covenants, section 85. And like I said, we can keep on going. Verse 7, I will send one mighty and strong, scepter of power, clothed with light, mouth shut are words, eternal words, while his bowels, Aquarius, shall be the fountain of truth. Jupiter is this guy, because lightning is referred to in verse 8. That's Jupiter. And so now he's at the purification for the church that is falling, that will be in conjunction with the sun, that's there with Jupiter and the moon all together, to set in order the house of God, the temple. Joseph Smith's temple of washing and anointings was corrupted by the great and abominable church that had them wear secret magic underwear with secret signs, reminding them of the loyalty oaths to the church against America to have it destroyed, and polygamy and death penalties for revealing it, and whistleblowers to be murdered and have their lives destroyed if they whistleblow. Yep. So section 103, it's all over, guys. It's all over everywhere. It's all over the scriptures. Like I said, I can keep on going. I can go into the Old Testament. Jeremiah, your pastors are corrupt. They will be destroyed. But redemption of Zion, therefore I will raise up unto the Mormons a male who shall lead the Mormons like as Moses. Oh, the man like Moses from Deuteronomy 18 that Joseph Smith is talking about for the future of the Mormon church, to bring it out of apostasy, or as it says here, lead the Mormons out of bondage from the great and abominable church. But if Mormons are not going to be receptive, guess what has to happen? Yeah, I read it to you. Destruction. And so, yes, the parable in section 101. See, I can keep on going, guys. It's all over the place. It's been right in our faces this whole time. And so, verse 51. And the enemy came by night and broke down the hedge, and the servants of the nobleman arose and were affrighted and fled. Who are the servants? They're not the Mormons, as the manual told you were. Surely the Lord God will do nothing save he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. The prophets of arose and were affrighted and fled. And the enemy destroyed the temples, the churches, the bank accounts, LLC corporations, and broke down the Mormons. And so somebody needs to lead those broken Mormons who are now going through a faith crisis because their religion just got destroyed, different from the FLDS church that got busted for snap fraud violations, and then their leader was thrown in prison for underage child brides. Not polygamy. Grover Cleveland. He's the one who pardoned the Mormons for polygamy only, not the tithing lot scandal, and the church is still doing that. And maybe that's what the government thinks they can't touch the church now because Grover Cleveland did the pardon, but I've reminded them, no, it was only for polygamy. He didn't pardon them for their financial crimes. They're committing new crimes. You can't whistle blow and they just leave you to the church to destroy you. So, are you getting the picture yet? You seeing what I'm seeing yet? So let's go to the sign in the heavens. That is at the beginning of this video, as we're now an hour in. The moon is with Venus and Mars, the god of war. And so yes, Putin and Christians see these signs differently from Joseph Smith. And so I can see Putin seeing this and going, yep, I'm going to destroy the concept of Jesus. The Pope saw it. That's why he rushed to the Russian embassy, which is not part of protocol, to plead with Putin to stop. He knows once Putin nukes Ukraine, Jesus is destroyed for the people. Because they know about Gog and Magog being Ukraine and Russia. They know the war's there. He does not want to lose his followers. But Nelson? Nope, they paid for it. Yeah, destroy it. Destroy Jesus. Because we're the one true church of the one true Jesus. I still don't know how he's going to pull it off if he wins. How are they going to fool Mormons? I mean, they've done it so far. It might just be that easy. But, yeah, if the scriptures don't get fulfilled that I went over with you, then, yeah, we're all doomed. But there it is. Mars is the god of war. And his wife, Venus, the god of beauty and love. Venus is the girl. La 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 la. That's the symbol of the great and abominable church. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, thou son of the morning? That's the son of the morning, Venus, in the masculine form of Lucifer. But as the bride of Lucifer, it's the church of Lucifer, the great and abominable church. And so Gog and Magog, the false Christ of the great and abominable church. And I've been going over with you since I figured it out when Thomas S. Monson died. I recognized who now is Mars. Revelation 12 in the Joseph Smith translation. Signs in the heavens and the likeness of things on the earth. Sign in the heaven is Mars. Who is the likeness on earth? Yeah, it's the false Christ. Gog, Magog. Mars and Venus. And they're in conjunction. And today, on the seventh day, the day of rest, which is Babylonian, the day of superstition, the falling moon for religion is at Gog and Magog. At the back end of Sagittarius. So now I got to teach you some Egyptian. Some more Egyptian. Again, in case you missed the other videos. For the Egyptians, the celestial bodies go in the mouth of the Egyptian deities, thus like the constellations here, they go in the mouths and come out the other end. It's called a birth. And so it's the same concept as sunrise and sunset. When the sun sets, it goes into the mouth of the serpent of the underworld, and it conquers the serpent to rise the next day. And so here you have the great and abominable church conquered. A new church restored for today on the new Sabbath, which is the first day of the week, not the seventh day of the week, but it's the seventh day for this series of fall, because it was born in Virgo on the 20th, 21st. And so I got the video clip that I keep showing, and I need to make sure I remember to put it in this video too. That's what it's all about, guys. And then it'll come to the belly of the goat beast, where Mercury and Saturn are, before it gets to the high priest, the president of the high priesthood, Moses, the key of Moses, not Peter, James, and John. They don't have the key of the presidency of the church. Only Moses does. So why are they claiming Peter, James, and John for that key? They don't even mention him when they do the lesson on the Kirtland Temple experience. It's all about Elijah. And they don't even want to explain Elias, which is actually, because when you go to Abraham, you realize, oh, it's not Elias, which is the Greek form of Elijah. So Joseph Smith is not making a mistake by repeating Elijah twice and claiming it's a different guy. No, it's Jesus, the God of salvation. And who's the God of salvation? Yah of salvation, which Isaiah is the reverse, salvation of Yah. Jesus. So, alrighty. I think that's it for today. So, yeah, there's a dualism going on Earth. As Christians are interpreting things one way, and Joseph Smith is trying to tell us something else, like the abomination of desolation. Christians think that's the nuke that goes off in Magog, that Jesus will come and save everybody in the midst of. Whereas Joseph Smith said, no, that's the great and abominable church. So on Sunday, huh? So let's see what happens today. Yesterday with the wrathful arm, it was Ukraine fighting back, holding off Putin, but there was some damage that they got into the capital and started bombing it. So, alrighty.